So we're going to bring on our first guest, Nicole Glover. She's new to the show. This is her first time. And she writes fantasy mysteries. Excuse me. She has a new book out called Star Seekers. And do you have your book handy, Nicole, so you can show
Yes.
everyone the cover? And so this is her first time on the show, as I mentioned. And welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hi, happy to be here. It's always fun to come on these things, talk books and all the fun things around it.
Yeah, so you write young adult fiction, or is it for what I
It's
mean, is it
yes,
categorized as YA?
and it's categorized as adult, but older YA can have nothing wrong with it because I don't have anything too graphic or too sexual. My mom reads these books, so
Okay.
nothing too bad. So I think there's some crossover appeal.
Okay, because I was thinking it was young adult.
Mhm.
I don't know why. The cover just to me had that kind
Mhm.
of feel to it. Did
I think it
anybody
might
else
be.
say
I
that
think
to
it might
you?
have like a fun. I think because it's quirky and fun, that might you getting from it sometimes. Sometimes it's. I guess with fantasy, you have it either has to be the extreme epic fantasy where the world's ending, and of course there's a
Yeah.
rise of cozy fantasy right now, which is different.
Oh, okay. So it's like cozy mysteries, but cozy
Yes.
fantasy.
Hmm.
Okay, you're the first cozy fantasy author that's been on the show, and we've had a lot of guests, so over 800. So, but we had cozy mystery
Hmm.
authors, but I didn't even know cozy fantasy was a thing.
It's been a while. It's been around technically, but I guess we finally got a name for it more recently. I guess
Oh, okay,
we kind of named the name, but even though lighter whimsical fantasy has been around for decades and so forth, we just haven't really publishers hadn't started marketing cozy fantasy as a thing,
okay. It
kind
it
of like
has its
compared to
own
cozy mystery and
sub
other things like that. So,
subgenre. There's
hmm
so many subgenres now. Probably because of Amazon.
yeah, most likely. I think because we all, as humans, we like to categorize everything, and we
Yeah,
want to get, and especially now since we have everything's more personalized, we want to get this really niche about things. We want to have specifically this story about like a private detective who's like into teacups and like lives in the sea. We want really specific genres like that now, and that's reflects in
right.
how we market and how we talk about books as well.
Right. And Amazon, when you upload your book yourself, if you self-publish under
Hmm.
KDP, and I'm sure they do this with the major
Hmm.
publishers as well, but you have to pick three categories. Well, you have to
Hmm.
pick the first category, and then you
Yeah.
have to pick a second and
Hmm.
then a third. So um, a lot of people, I think some people even go deeper.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because I've seen some
Hmm.
categories that are so specific that
Hmm.
probably only two books are published in it. And sometimes people will
Hmm.
say, I'm a best selling. No, everybody now is a best selling
Yes.
author on Amazon. It's
Hmm.
it's like it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Hmm.
Now, if you the New York Times still means something because those
Yes.
are store sales and they're adding them up. But on Amazon,
Hmm.
it's so narrow and so specific,
Hmm.
and somebody can create an eighth level niche,
Yes.
and then they're number one. Well, why
Hmm.
wouldn't you be? You know.
Right, right.
So um, but I'm glad to hear
Hmm.
about the cozy fantasies being
Hmm.
an actual genre now.
Yes.
And now is I know you had another book before this,
Yeah.
but
Three.
which number book is this for you?
This is number four. It's all part of a series. It's a
Okay.
loosely connected series in the sense there's different main characters for the books. The first two of the
Okay.
books follow different characters. Number three, improvisers, it follows another character. Because it follows the same family throughout time. So the first two books are set in 1870s Philadelphia, post Civil War Reconstruction era. The number
Okay.
three follows the granddaughter into 1930s. And so with this one, I take you to the 1960s, following another member of the family.
Oh, okay. Now, what was the one right before the Star Seekers?
The
What was it?
improvisers.
Improvisers. So, now what made you think about doing
Mhm.
this series?
I'm a nerd for history. I grew up in Virginia,
Okay.
and if you know anything about Virginia, it's around all a bunch of historical stuff. So I
I'm
kind of
from Virginia.
yeah.
I'm from Virginia
So
originally.
you know,
Hmm.
there's history
Lots of
everywhere.
history. Hmm.
Yes. And so I
So
kind
what
of
part of Virginia did you go? Where are you from?
well, I say, well, I guess I'll back it up a bit. I'm military, so we moved a bunch of times around Virginia. So I
Okay.
spent some years in like Manassas, Northern Virginia area. Spent some
Okay.
time in the Hampton Roads area, and
Okay.
right now my folks are in like the Fredericksburg area, which is kind of just the midpoint between Richmond and then Northern Virginia. So kind of
Hmm.
the main areas like that. So I got to like a lot of exposure to Civil War and Revolutionary War stuff. And all my
Hmm.
field trips, all the different places around everything. So it's kind of
Right.
growing with history, soaking in all that stuff, and just being just kind of curious about this stuff to begin with. It got me thinking about like, what kind of stories I can tell about these things. And especially since my parents had that famous portrait of Harriet Tubman with, with the rifle above our fireplace. So I always saw that a bunch of times, thinking like, what's these stories, and just kind of absorbing all these different stories and movies and things like that. I started thinking like, what is the Reconstruction era time period looking like? And my first book, The Conductors, was kind of started out as plain historical fiction. It was just going to be about the former Underground Railroad conductors who decide what they do afterwards, basically. And I had a hard time figuring out what that story could turn to be. And I think it ended up at one point, I was like, why did I add like magic to the story? Because I grew up reading lots of fantasy novels. I love magic, wizards, all that fun stuff. And slowly added the mystery part kind of fell in place. So I had this mashup of history, fantasy, and murder. And from there, the story started taking place because I used the mystery element as the engine of driving the plot. And I kind of built in the characters kind of came into the world. I blended in, and I got to have fun blending the magic with history. In some ways, especially when I wrote that first book, having magic allowed me to be able to approach history in a way I hadn't been able to before. Like going even though diving into the darker curls of history and things like that. And from there, I just continued doing research. I did not just research in 1870s, but further down the decades. And so initially, I had those plot bunnies for the 1930s and 1960s. And so as I got the chance to be able to do 1930s, 1960s books, which actually just started out as just pitches to my editors.
Okay.
And and the Star Seekers in particular came about because I love NASA and astronomy and astrology, all those things. And it's kind of apparent as you read the books because the magic system involves constellations. We see constellations throughout the books. And so, like, the Star Seeker is the pinnacle of all these things I got really nerdy about, basically. And just my interest in history, but interest in science and just exploring these aspects of history and things that we don't talk about. And I especially focus on kind of more like the private, quieter, domestic lives of the characters as well. This is not the big flashy moments of history. It's more about the smaller moments with inside these things going on.
Hmm. Did you have when you did your last the Star Seekers,
Yes.
did you have the Hidden Figures people in mind?
Oh yeah, I mean
And
that's actually kicked it off. Hidden Figures got announced just as I was thinking, I'm writing a 1960s book. So what should it be about? And Hidden Figures came out exactly when I needed it to come out because not only did it, spark the idea of what the characters could be, it gave me so much access to research because Hidden Figures like it got everyone's fascinated by it. So they started kicking out a bunch of books, a bunch of articles, a bunch of resources came really available to allow me not just to look into Katherine Johnson and the other ladies that are highlighted in the movie, but all the other ones that we don't really talk about as much, that don't get as much shine as well. So it was really fun for me as a researcher and a person writing to be able to have all this great resources in there as well. And particularly since NASA is very popular, is very documented. We have a lot of resources about the Apollo space missions and all the other things from that time period, especially since a lot of these missions are still within living memory. So that was really helpful as well.
okay. Yeah, I'm from Newport News,
Mhm.
and the women from Hidden Figures, that was all happening
Hmm.
close to my hometown,
Yes.
and we didn't know about it. I mean, nobody knew about it.
Hmm.
Nobody knew them. I didn't know them at all. We didn't know about them.
Hmm.
They were in a different part of like Newport News that was further north, the
Hmm.
northern part.
Yes.
But still, it I didn't find out about these women
Hmm.
until they made the movie. And then
Yeah.
when I found out they were from, NASA with Newport News,
Hmm.
we went to NASA on field trips when I was
Hmm.
a kid. We went to Yorktown.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if you've been to Yorktown, but
Yeah.
where the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria, those ships, the
Yes.
replicas of those ships. So we did a lot of field tripping
Hmm.
around the area because there is so much history
Yes.
there. And Jamestown, we went to Jamestown, which
Hmm.
was one of the first colonies that were well, like first town or whatever
Yes.
within the Virginia area.
Hmm.
So Virginia has a lot of history. And it used to be that it had more presidents than any other state
Yes, it did.
for a while. I don't know if that's still the case, but and that's because a lot of the early presidents
Mm,
were from Virginia.
right.
So, do you have a? I'd like to see the covers of the other books.
Kind of like you can kind of see them behind me a bit.
Yeah, I see something. Yeah. So if you could show them, like, so we can like see the common thread or the differences
Mm.
between them. Are you able to do that?
Um, let's see. I'm trying to remember if I had anything.
Yeah, anything handy
Yeah, I mean, I
within
just had
reach?
this
But if
one.
not, you can slide back and get one of each.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Are you You're connected to? Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I
All
get
right.
it. But I'd like the viewers to see the covers, um, so they could see the common threads and especially since it's a series.
Mhm.
If you have them handy. Um, okay. So where are you located now? Just
I'm in Norfolk.
oh, you're in Norfolk. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's 30 miles from Newport News in the
Yes.
tunnel. Going through the
Tunnel
tunnel.
adds another, 20 minutes maybe, depending on the time of
Depending
day.
on traffic.
Yes. So,
Yeah, when I lived there, the traffic wasn't really bad, but it's gotten a lot heavier now.
yes,
Now,
all
in
the
recent
construction.
years. So okay, so book number one,
Yes.
okay, the conductors. Oh, okay. See, that lets us know that it's about Harriet Tubman or that
Yes.
like the Underground Railroad
Hmm.
and all of that. Okay.
Yes.
That's a great imagery.
Yeah, I just wanted to make
It's
sure that
just
there's like a bird that's supposed to be the magic in front of it.
okay,
There's like
okay,
the constellations. I really wanted to get the elements of history and fantasy in it because the one thing about when you talk about covers with publishers, they ask you ideas, of course, and you have
okay,
these have meetings for this. That's what you want to see on these things. And so I was able to share some ideas and some Pinterest boards of what I thought could be really make really good for the cover. And I really was adamant having the main characters on the cover, and this cover is just Hetty, the main character for the book. And so I
okay,
really wanted to emphasize this is a black girl doing magic, black woman doing magic and stuff.
okay.
And
All
so this is
right.
another Undertaker is another kind of take. We have seen some similarities. You have some of
Okay,
the
the
same similar
Undertaker.
images.
Now, is that a funeral business? Is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's in the
Or is it
second
a
book
double
is
entendre?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
it's through because they
okay,
did with Dead Dollars, you find through the first book they some things certain things will happen. So by the second book that they come into acquaintance of an undertakings operation basically.
okay,
So that's
okay,
a pun on that as well. Not just a business undertaking, but undertaking these mysteries as well.
okay.
And
All
so we
right.
have a jump with the improvisers. So like I said, it
Okay.
mentions the 1930s is very Bessie Coleman inspired.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Okay.
Bessie Coleman was actually one of the first like non-civil rights, non-under so Civil War kind of era black person in history I kind of learned about. So I was
Oh,
kind of really
okay.
fascinated by her because it's more about how she moved throughout life, just making her own way, basically. And
Mm,
so that's how I took inspiration for the main character of this book, which is Velma, who, among many things, is, a pilot, a former bootlegger, a barnstorming pilot, and, investigates murder mysteries, kind of following her family. So with the improvisers, you get to see the evolution of the world from the first two books and seeing how the family has grown around her. I even have a family tree tucked in here as well, which is always kind of
Oh,
fun.
okay. Well, and also, flight is related to the, space and
Yeah,
NASA.
flight
That
is a
was
big theme
before
throughout
before
through
the travel to outer
yeah.
space.
Yeah,
Oh,
flight is a theme throughout all the books because even in
oh,
the
okay.
first two books, I have stuff like, have air balloons and there's birds and things like that. And of course, with the improvisers, yeah, she has a plane. You see her fly throughout the entire book. And in the
Oh,
Star Seekers, which it has, if you might
yeah.
notice on the cover again, there's a broom on here because she flies her broom around as well, and it's also the rockets and everything as well too. So flight is a major theme throughout the story. It's something that kind of happened by accident. And it's some of the things I kind of
Okay.
realized as I was writing. Oh, this is a theme because I guess maybe because I was always interested in flight, and I remember as I was doing the research for conductor, they came across Virginia Hamilton's People Who Could Fly. She's a children's illustrator. She kind of collected folk
Mhm.
stories and folk tales like that. And those she had a collection of the titles of the collection of these things, and the title story was People Who Could Fly. And I was really fascinated seeing looking into the history. Oh, how flight was a big deal. Flight because flight was escape, flight was going elsewhere, and things like that. And it was always a symbolism of potentially not just sprouting wings, but just going escaping. And somehow that's like a theme that kind of weaves in the story subconsciously as well. And it kind of something that works really well throughout, I found without for each book I wrote.
Oh, okay. You have a very active imagination to come up with all of those stories like
Yes.
that. It's very, very
Mm,
admirable. Um, and that you pursued something that you'd always
mm,
had interest in, even as a young child.
yes.
What did you get your degree in, or when your educational background? What did you decide to pursue for your education?
Oh yeah, I went into psychology because I'm
Okay.
interested in people, what they do, why they think. And that's always because I always wanted to write books. And I think psychology just made sense to me. Even, yeah, sure, I can get like a literature degree or something like that. But
Hmm.
psychology was interesting to me, I guess, because by understanding and looking to people, it helps me figure out the characters as well.
Okay. All right. And you
I'm also
don't.
I'm also a tech person as well, so kind of work in the tech
Okay.
sphere. So and looking
Okay.
into how the things are designed around us. So all these kind of things kind of feed into how I write and how I kind of build the world and the stories.
Wow. So you don't write full time yet, do you?
It's ideal, it's I mean, currently, because of the way the tech things are right now, I am, but not ideally. Again, it's a fun thing. I like having a foot in like different worlds as well because one, it's like I like to problem solve and like doing other things doesn't takes makes it makes writing as fun at the same time. But in an ideal world, yeah, if the money's coming frequently, that sort of thing, yeah, writing full time is also great as well.
Okay. So did you because your books do have the YA feel to them.
Mm,
So have you pursued the YA audience, like the high school reader, or basically
mm,
is your reader an adult?
mm.
And who reads your books? That's what's your primary reader look
Yeah,
like?
I think because it's one thing I've noticed there's a difference like between YA and adult stuff for some reason. I guess mostly it's not just like the target audience. It's like mostly how the story is presented in certain speeds and things like that. And I think marketing towards adult is, I guess it's the broader scope of things. I can capture the younger readers as well. I think it's mostly because I based on the fact that as when I was a much younger reader, I was reading things, technically above my age range, but it was still, I was able to, understand and approach these things as well. And I think, and there's also, I guess there's also, I wouldn't, these stories are, all the characters, they're in their late 20s, early 30s sort of thing. So it's very
Okay.
directed for the adult demographic, for things, for, I guess people wanting some, I guess a different version of like a fantasy or a light affair with a cozy side of, a splash of coziness and whatnot. And the approach of like writing for a younger market is be different. I'm actually more interested in writing middle grade, particularly with middle grade fantasy, because I think that's more whimsical when it comes to the magic. Do you think of I guess children's books you kind of grew up with, like things like Narnia and things like that, have that more whimsical side of magic that you don't really see in like YA fantasy. And
Okay.
just, this is my opinion. I guess also because it's I guess I feel like it's kind of fun. I think I've most of it's been kicking around middle grade fantasy ideas. I got a niece. She's 2 years old now, 2.5, and so it's. I guess one of my goals is now to be able to have a book out for younger readers when she's old enough to read the books for her on her own, that sort of thing. And that's I've been enjoying like playing the auntie, like reading books and things to her and whatnot, just to kind of just enjoying that side of things as well. And so it got me really interested in writing, how I would think of when I think of future writing projects. Oh, something of like middle grade or younger might be really great. Because I think also if you start looking at the more of the books are out there for younger readers, like someone like the smaller, thinner books, like I remember reading as like chapter books read as a kid on is one as popular these days. There's more bigger middle grade fantasies. In some ways, or even like bigger like YA books and stuff too. I think some of it because adults have been reading like in the YA market as well, and that's how some of the books got a little bit bigger. Or somehow some of the characters have changed. There's been some discussion about how like sometimes that characters, particularly for women writers, so their books have gotten like aged down so they could be in the YA, even though they intend to be older and things like that, which is interesting from the publishing side of things and from the writing side of things, but I guess it's a long way to say I'm interested in writing for middle grade and potentially younger ones because I think it really fits how my interests in writing styles.
Okay, so do you have an opportunity to do that, or have you
Not
received it
yet. Just
directly yet?
I mean, there's been busy with writing different things. I have like a list of ideas and it's still like it's like number nine on the list of things to write that I'm thinking about writing basically, and we're currently writing to turn something in pretty soon as right
Okay.
now. So it's like there's always a bunch of lists. But I guess I like having a list of ideas I want to get to because it gives me something to look forward to when I'm working in one particular project. 'Cause I like to say like I have a list of ideas that never like disappear because I'm always have something new that comes to mind. Often when I'm writing something, that's when I have a new idea. As always, when you're in the
That's
middle of
true.
something, a new idea pops up that tries to distract you from what you're working on. So I use that as like a motivation to get to something. And also it's a good way to measure how interested I am in an idea if I'm getting drawn to something else and that sort of thing.
Did you do any self-publishing work first, or
No.
did you immediately go with you got an agent? You get
Mhm.
an agent and
Yeah, it
you
took a
went that.
while, but I was wanting to pursue traditional publishing because one of
Mm-hmm.
my kind of goals was like get into a library, and it's much easier to get into a library if you're
Mm-hmm.
traditionally published because of all just based on all the systems in place. So
Right.
it took a few years to find an agent to figure out what book to pitch. Basically, I think the Conductors was like the fourth or fifth book I've actually pitched to an agent. And a lot of the
Oh,
earlier books were like, I guess they probably shouldn't. It's probably good they weren't picked up because I was still kind of learning like what kind of story to tell and what all those things basically. Because being able to pitch the other ones taught me what to look for, how to research agents, how to research the market, or even just to figure out the story that I really want to tell.
okay. So you had, do you still have those books that you pitched
Yeah,
before that didn't get picked up?
yeah.
Those
Uh,
end up being one of the four in the series, or are they like on
oh.
your laptop or shelf or
Yeah, they're
whatever?
basically on my laptop. I stuck them in the folder, like basically saying it's old, and it's tucked
Okay.
in there. I think I may have gone back and like pulled up like a scene or two or looked back at the scene or two and maybe took some inspiration from. Because I
Okay.
find, I might forget some other things, but I tend to remember nearly everything I've written, and like I kind of whether there's a particular scene or a mood of a scene, and I can usually go back and pretty easily enough figure out the file and I can pull out that segment or chapter that I can like kind of pull into the new document and kind of refresh and like make it fit into the world. 'Cause I guess it's all skin you tend to write. I always say there's no wasted world. That's why I always tuck stuff into different like and dump them to empty Word documents because there's something else I had written that I can like reframe. And I've done that the books I had published, it happened several times, different scenes I'd written previously of things that didn't get finished or I didn't publish or this didn't work out for that particular story, but I could take parts of it that I could basically reframe for the current story I'm telling. Basically, because I remember this seed in an idea, because there was certain like either it was like part of a scene or a mood of a scene or a certain element of that I was able to pull in and kind of just make it work for the story, and it actually worked out better. And it's always just fascinating how your mind works about certain things. At least how
Mhm.
I was just fascinated how like different parts and kind of come together. Because the revision part of like remaking stuff is the most interesting part to me, and the most fun part for me as a writer. Because the part I hate, getting the first draft done, getting all the words out is the hardest part because you have to just pull out everything out of the ether. But the revision part means I have everything out there. I can start thinking and thinking over, turning over, and like reconsidering things and how it comes together. And sometimes realize how maybe sometimes even the sequence of how these scenes or chapters are done might not be the way it should be. Like I might end up flipping things around or combining characters. Like even just today, I was actually it's like taking like two characters, I basically kind of combined them to one character, or took certain aspects of one character that I kind of added to another one because I realized, oh, my initial drafting, I had added extra things that I didn't need, or wasn't quite working the way I thought it would. And I think it's to me just how it comes together and how differently a final draft is to the very first thing you wrote is always the most interesting thing to me as a writer. It's particularly because a lot of times I write in notebooks. So I remember when I got my first book published, thinking back, here's my very first notebook that I wrote my first ideas down. And now I have the printed book and how differently things have changed between characters and different drafts and stuff like that. It's like, particularly with the Star Seekers, I guess it's kind of close to 10 years since I was writing it because I got an idea around when Hidden Figures came out. But I put it
Okay.
aside because I published the other three books in between. And so that first rough draft I did, my had initial inspiration had changed a lot by the time I got to this book because not just the information I got, but and also just writing those other books, getting it to fit in that world and how that kind of works the world building, works with the character that I kind of set up. And so that a lot of these things changed enough that's only really like a couple, like the main character and her cat, basically the only thing that kind of stayed from that first book to the first draft to the final draft. And that's fun for me as a writer to see these changes and kind of experience these things and looking back at the old drafts like oh this is terrible, I'm so glad I was able to make this better.
Yeah, that's it seems like it's a psychologist in
Yeah.
you too that
Yes.
does that. We had one comment from someone, and then we're at the end of our time. One of our viewers said that you were giving great advice for new writers. It's very informative. So, congratulations, Nicole.
Yes.
Let people know how, of course, your books are available wherever books are sold.
Yes.
But if they want to connect with you, how do they on social media? What are your social media handles or
Yeah,
whatever?
you can find me on Instagram as at Nicole Glover Writes. I'm on Blue Sky as Nicole Glover. And because social media comes and goes, you can always find me at my website,
Yeah.
nicole-glover.com. Yeah, you can find my updates and I have a little newsletter and things like that that you
Okay.
can keep up with me.
Okay. Well, congratulations again.
Yes.
And we hope to see some more published work from you in the near future.
Sure hope so.
Okay. Have a great night.
You too. Good
All
night.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.